I think Du Plessis, I think he have a better wrestling. I think he's gonna, make the difference onto the.
I think DDP, he's pretty good. Got to give it to him.
I don't know. The first fight, I feel like it was a close fight, but after Du Plessis' last fight, he showed some strength there, so I might go with him. But Sean also can knock him out, so we're gonna have to see about it. I'll go with Du Plessis.
One of the most highly anticipated rematches in UFC history between Dricus Du Plessis and Sean Strickland. 2 on the 2025 UFC schedule takes place on Saturday, February 8th. DDP is brutally training at another level to take his revenge from Sean Strickland.
Dricus Du Plessis is fighting Israel Adesanya this Saturday, and I just seen the craziest video footage ever. Apparently his coach is tasing him to train for this fight. Anytime he messes up during sparring, he gets tased. Could you imagine? You're getting your ass kicked and you're on the ground laying there, and you're getting tased. Man, this is just awful. And doing all this just to lose to Adesanya is crazy.
Mixed martial artist Khamzat Chimaev criticizes Dricus Du Plessis isn't fighting for victory or defeat, but solely for money, and this is his goal. He believes that creating motivation can affect his focus and performance.
I think early next year we're going to have Sean and Dricus Du Plessis again. Who do you think wins that fight?
I think now on it's going good for Du Plessis. I think he's more motivated, getting more money, and he's happy with that. So he will fight for his belt. So I think I go a little bit for that. Sean being there, and I don't think so he care about he wins, he lost, So yeah. He just fight and have money.
Sean Strickland reveals about his first title defense against Dricus Du Plessis. He considers Du Plessis a tougher opponent than Israel Adesanya, despite Adesanya being a more skilled striker.
Sean Strickland, the UFC middleweight champion. Thanks for checking in with me, man. Again, I appreciate it. First title defense against Dricus Du Plessis, a guy that hasn't been around all that long, but he's a guy that has made an impact.
Dricus is tough, dude. I think he's a tougher fight than Izzy.
Really?
Izzy's a better striker, but Izzy doesn't necessarily want to fight. Izzy wants to go in there and hit you and not get hit. Dricus is a guy that wants to fight. It's a whole different kind of fight.
Strickland spoke about his hard work and stated that whether he wins or loses, he has done everything in his power to prepare. If Du Plessis wins, Strickland acknowledges that it would simply mean Du Plessis was the better man on the night.
At the end of the day, it's like I put in work, man. I did everything I could do. Win or lose, I deserve it. I deserve to win, and if I lose, he's the better man. But I work my ass off.
Billy Goff, a UFC welterweight, carefully analyzes the upcoming fight between Dricus Du Plessis and Sean Strickland. Goff believes that Du Plessis and his team are methodical and focused, with an emphasis on making necessary adjustments to improve their performance.
See, I think Du Plessis will win that. I think Du Plessis will make the adjustments to Sean Strickland that you can argue that he lost that fight. I think he'll make the adjustments against Sean Strickland to do better in the fight, whereas I think Sean Strickland's going to come in like, oh, I won the last fight, I'm going to go out there and do it again.
Goff mentions that Du Plessis will likely review what worked well in his previous fights and refine those strategies to gain an advantage. Goff speculates that Strickland might enter the fight with the mindset that he has already figured out Du Plessis, potentially leading to overconfidence.
Well, I thought Strickland won the first fight originally, but after going back and watching it and seeing, I could see where Dricus won the fight, and I could also see certain things where Dricus was figuring out to where he was able to give Sean problems. I believe Dricus and his team are cerebral, and they try to make adjustments and things like that. So I believe they will adjust to the success that they had and things like that.
Jamal Hill, the UFC champion, is reflected on the previous close fight between Dricus Du Plessis and Sean Strickland. Initially, he thought Strickland won, but after rewatching, he saw why Du Plessis could be considered the winner. While he leans towards Du Plessis making the necessary changes, he ultimately admits the fight was very close and could go either way.
And things of that nature in the fight, we're gonna see how well Sean can make adjustments and come in and maybe change things up a little bit. But honestly, I don't know. That last fight was really close.
The second pay-per-view fight card, UFC 312, is headlined by a middleweight title fight rematch between current champ Dricus Du Plessis and the man he took the title from in January 2024, Sean Strickland. Former UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya, who has faced both men, feels the upcoming bout will be a tough test for Du Plessis and Strickland. Ahead of their February rematch, Strickland released a video where he requested that Du Plessis face him in a striking battle inside the octagon. Strickland said, "Listen, Dutchman, I'm gonna need you to be a man, and I'm gonna need you to stand up, not go to your knees, and we're gonna need to strike like men. I know you like to wrestle, you like to choke people out and do some, dude, but I'll make a pact with you, you make a pact with me, that we stand up like men, and we settle this expletive like men." The champ did not take the time to produce a video for his reply to his UFC 312 opponent. Instead, he wrote on social media, "There are no pacts between lions and men." Adesanya, who is riding the first two-fight losing skid of his career thanks to losses to Strickland and Du Plessis, spoke to MMA Junkie about the upcoming UFC 312 main title fight rematch. In the first meeting between Du Plessis and Strickland, Du Plessis took the title from Strickland via split decision at UFC 297 in January 2024. Adesanya offered, when asked about the outcome of the UFC 312 rematch, "I say that Dricus wins that one if it's close maybe, or maybe it's more decisive this time. It's going to be a hard fight for both men, but I think I would give the edge to Dricus in this fight." Adesanya, who dropped a decision to Strickland at UFC 293 and lost to Du Plessis via submission at UFC 305, also said that he is likely to be in the crown for the February 8th event. Adesanya is booked against Nasruddin Imavov on February 1st in the main event of a UFC Fight Night card in Saudi Arabia. The fight booking came as quite a surprise considering Khamzat Chimaev ran through Robert Whittaker at UFC 308, seemingly leaving no doubt that he would finally receive a title shot. Despite Du Plessis also stating that he'd prefer to fight Chimaev, the promotion granted Strickland the rematch after picking up just one win since their fight last January. Strickland, who has been with the UFC since March 2014, has a career record of 29-6. He is 16-6 in the UFC with 4 finishes and 4 Fight Night bonus awards. Du Plessis and Strickland shared Fight of the Night honors for their first meeting, which took place at UFC 297 in January 2024. Since then, Du Plessis is undefeated with an August 2024 submission win over former UFC middleweight champ Israel Adesanya. Strickland has also fought once since losing his title to Du Plessis, beating Paulo Costa by split decision in June. Meanwhile, Davey Grant, English mixed martial artist, shared his thoughts on Dricus Du Plessis versus Sean Strickland fight, admitting that it was a very close contest. Initially, he thought Strickland edged out the win in their first fight, but after rewatching it, he remained confident in Strickland's victory.
If you're going to train for that guy, you have to be a certain type of person.
Think about why you're going to get dazed, all of you. Think about it. This is my assistant coach. I helped him fix the problem. This is fixing the problem, not on his toes, not kicking when he needs to. So I'll fix him, yeah.
Dricus Du Plessis has been putting in the work, preparing for his upcoming rematch with Sean Strickland with intense focus and dedication. Known for his relentless style in the octagon, Du Plessis is taking his training to the next level, sharpening his skills and conditioning to ensure he's at his absolute best for the fight.
Okay, time.
I'm gonna go with Strickland. I think. I think I just edged it to him the first time round. It was a very, very close fight, and I remember watching when I was watching. I've never gone and watched it back, and I'll be honest, I'm not much of a judge when it comes to fights. Most of the time, I watch fights as a fan, and then if I feel like it's been close, I'll go and watch it again, and I'll try and judge it myself to see if I was being a bit biased. So I think I'll go with Strickland for that one.
Grant also revealed his approach to analyzing fights. He usually watches them as a fan, but if a fight seems close, he will revisit it and try to judge it impartially to avoid any bias. In this case, he believes Strickland deserved the win, but acknowledges the fight's closeness. When Du Plessis and Strickland first met in January 2024, Strickland was the reigning UFC middleweight champion, while Du Plessis was the number 2 fighter in the official UFC rankings. The bout headlined the UFC 297 fight card from Scotiabank Arena in Toronto. When the fight ended, I wrote the following about the contest. In a very close and hard-to-score fight, Dricus Du Plessis took home the UFC middleweight title with a split decision win over Sean Strickland, whose title reign ended without a successful defense of his crown. Strickland fought well behind his jab and did a good job defensively for most of the fight. In this contest, Strickland lacked the forward pressure that earned him 3 straight wins and UFC gold, heading into UFC 297. One reason Strickland fought more conservatively was his respect for Du Plessis' power. Another significant reason was the takedowns of Du Plessis. During his winning streak, Strickland only faced 2 takedown attempts, both coming from Abbas Magomedov. Du Plessis went 6 for 11 on takedowns during Saturday's scrap. Grant Dawson gave a controversial and humorous take on Dricus Du Plessis, also known as DDP. He began by mocking Du Plessis' fighting style, calling him the worst fighter in the UFC and saying that he's terrible and awful. Dawson explained that despite these harsh criticisms, Du Plessis somehow manages to win fights, which is why he's the champion.
Yeah, I gotta take DDP, and I think he's the worst fighter in the UFC, and he's the champion. He's so dang bad, but I can't. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? Yeah, you understand what I'm saying. Like, he's terrible.
Dawson, known for being a big proponent of film study for improving fighters, humorously added that while Du Plessis isn't someone he would recommend to watch as an example for learning, he still respects his ability to win. Ultimately, Dawson picked Du Plessis to win, acknowledging his toughness and ability to come out on top, despite his unconventional or unimpressive style.
He's awful. You would not sit somebody. I'm a big film study guy, especially for younger guys. If you're a pup coming up in this sport, I tell people, other than being in the gym, the fastest way to get good at this sport is to watch film. And then I always say, but don't watch DDP, he sucks. And they're like, well, he's the champion. I was like, yeah, he's terrible. You see what I'm saying? I'm picking him. He's a winner, man. I'm picking DDP.
Du Plessis made minor adjustments during the fight. He upped his aggression, added pressure, and closed distance. All those factors helped sway the judges in his direction. It also didn't hurt that he threw with more power than Strickland, who primarily relied on a sharp and effective jab throughout the fight. The loss did not sit well with Strickland, who went on to defeat Paulo Costa by split decision in the co-main event of UFC 302 in June. After his victory, Strickland vowed not to compete again until he got a shot to take the belt back from Du Plessis. Du Plessis went 6 for 11 in takedown attempts in the first fight with 2 minutes and 8 seconds of control time. Strickland outlanded Du Plessis, connecting on 173 of his significant strikes, while Du Plessis landed 137 of his attempts. The Dricus Du Plessis vs. Sean Strickland rematch at UFC 312 has just received one of its first predictions from a fellow rostermate. It is from a fellow UFC middleweight in Jared Cannonier. According to Cannonier, Strickland should be favored to dethrone Du Plessis for the middleweight title, which Du Plessis had actually captured from Strickland himself. Despite Strickland being the loser of the first fight, Cannonier made his case for Tarzan to win the rematch. Cannonier stated, the first one was close. I think I see Sean coming back with a bit more fire in his belly, but it was close last time. I think Sean did more damage last time as well. I think he's going to take that momentum that he did more damage and really try to close the deal in their next fight. When asked by Lynch if he believes that Strickland will indeed emerge victorious at UFC 312, Cannonier expressed some confidence in the outcome and further added, well, yeah, I would say so. If he catches Du Plessis off balance, maybe rushing in with a nice stiff jab or counter slip jab or slip whatever. You know how he does his thing, puts him on his heels with his teeps and stuff and keeps the pressure on. I think Sean can get it done. The first bout between Du Plessis and Strickland was somewhat controversial, with some believing that Strickland had done enough to win, including Strickland himself. Now, at UFC 312, both men will have the chance to reassert their claim as the superior fighter. The South African star followed up his win by submitting Israel Adesanya at UFC 305. Meanwhile, Strickland bounced back from his razor-thin loss to Du Plessis by overwhelming former middleweight title challenger Paulo Costa in a 5-rounder at UFC 302.
You think your dad beat the shit out of you? Your dad doesn't have shit on me. Every childhood memory you have is gonna come back.
Du Plessis strongly criticized Strickland's previous victory that Strickland's title win wasn't earned through skill, but rather by luck. It seems that Du Plessis hasn't recognized his defeat yet.
While Jared Cannonier has never fought Dricus Du Plessis, he has faced Sean Strickland, which may be a reason for him to favor Tarzan over the defending middleweight champion. The pair locked horns at UFC Vegas 66, dragging each other to a highly competitive split decision. Former top 15 ranked middleweight Chris Curtis, who returns to action this weekend against Roman Kopylov, offered his viewpoint on the upcoming 185-pound title fight. Curtis said, "The fight is playing out like two coked-out chimpanzees in a phone booth. Honestly, that's just how Dricus fights. It's like, what do you do?" God, it's so funny because like everyone I know always clowns how Dricus fights. It's fucking wild. But you know what? God damn, it's effective. Curtis, a longtime friend and teammate of Strickland, is obviously picking Tarzan to reclaim the title, even though the two recently got into a fight at the gym. He further added, "I really just want to see how this plays out, because it's such an awkward clash of two really awkward, probably the two most awkward people in the division, fighting each other. So there's a lot to take away from that. It's an event. It's like the short bus special. So I'm like, the two most awkward dudes in the division happen to be really good at fighting. I just want to see it." Despite their clashes, both fighters remain committed to sharpening each other's skills, but Curtis jokingly reflected on how close he came to derailing Strickland's journey to his upcoming title defense against Dricus Du Plessis at UFC 312. Describing the matchup as two coked-out chimpanzees, Curtis's colorful commentary adds another layer of intrigue to this highly anticipated fight. Curtis said, "There are times when I have debated hitting him with a brick. Like, not even joking, I'm like, bro, I'm gonna hit you with a King brick. Like, I don't care where it goes." This time led to a fist fight as well, and we were really about to throw down, and the entire gym was like, "Are you guys really doing this?" And I'm like threatening to cripple him before he fights Dricus. I was like, "I will King cripple you." So yeah, we get out of hand. It's a good thing the action man didn't maim Strickland, or else UFC 312 would have been ruined, and we'd be robbed of two coked out chimpanzees. Ultimate Fighting Championship UFC heads back to its Apex venue in Las Vegas, Nevada on Saturday, January 11, 2025, with an important 115-pound main event featuring jiu-jitsu phenom Mackenzie Dern, who looks to avenge her 2019 loss to Brazilian bruiser Amanda Ribas. In addition, longtime welterweight slugger Santiago Ponzinibbio returns to face off against Mocambique Mauler. Carlston Harris in UFC Vegas 101's hard-hitting co-headliner. UFC middleweight champion Dricus Du Plessis would like to face undefeated contender Khamzat Chimaev next, instead of a rematch against Sean Strickland. Du Plessis won the UFC's 185-pound championship in a split decision win over Strickland in January, and has since defended it against former champion Israel Adesanya. Earlier this year, UFC CEO Dana White said Du Plessis' next defense would be a rematch against Strickland, but after Chimaev's impressive first-round win against Robert Whittaker last weekend, Du Plessis wants that fight. Du Plessis stated, "The conversations have been more about me fighting Strickland, but there was a very big reason no contracts have been signed, and I'm saying this as an opinion. I agreed that I'll fight Strickland, perfect, and that's the fight the fans want. But if you go on what the fans want right now, it's definitely not the Strickland fight. If you ask what I want to fight the best guy. I want to fight the guy the fans want me to fight, and that's 100% Khamzat." Du Plessis of South Africa said he'd be willing to travel anywhere in the world to face Chimaev. Chimaev is a Russian citizen who has lived in and out of Russia, Sweden, and Dubai. He has not fought in the US or anywhere other than Abu Dhabi since 2022. Strickland, who says he believes he was robbed on the judges' scorecards against Du Plessis when they met in January, has already publicly stated he expects the next shot as promised. Strickland wrote on X, "Understand one thing, I am next in line. It's been said, it's been written, January, February, me and Dricus Du Plessis are scrapping. If Chimaev gets a title shot, he might be favored over any middleweight in the UFC, including Du Plessis." Chimaev dominated Whittaker at UFC 308 on Saturday in Abu Dhabi, submitting him via face crank less than 4 minutes into the contest. Du Plessis acknowledged the dangers of Chimaev's strength in wrestling, but expressed confidence in the matchup. Dricus Du Plessis confidently stated that he believes he's stronger than Khamzat Chimaev, and that Chimaev has never experienced power like his. While acknowledging Chimaev's wrestling as his main weapon, Du Plessis welcomed the idea of testing their strengths head-to-head to see who can endure. Du Plessis said, "You know, when it comes to strength, there's not a doubt in my mind, I'm stronger. Khamzat is a strong guy, but I don't think, no, I know for a fact, that he's never felt knockout power like this. When it comes to his wrestling, obviously that's his strong suit and where he likes to take the fight, and I would welcome that if I had to fight him. Let's meet strengths and see who can last. The highly anticipated rematch between Dricus Du Plessis and Sean Strickland is shaping up to be an exciting showdown. With both fighters having unique styles and impressive records, fans are eagerly awaiting what promises to be a thrilling battle inside the octagon. Who do you think will come out victorious? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more exciting updates, and thanks for watching.